sort of good.
Welcome back. It's hard to believe, but as early as July, the internet will run out of, believe it or not, space. IP addresses, the numbers that identify every device and computer linked to the internet, will all be used up. A new standard has been developed, but it has one major flaw, apparently. The new system is incompatible with the current one. Well, it looks as though someone wasn't thinking about that. For more on the challenges this creates for business and for the risks for companies that fail to adopt the new standard, we're joined in the studio by Dave Stevens, the founder and managing director of Brennan IT. How are you, mate?
Yeah, well, Peter, how are you?
Very good. How does Dave Stevens have a business called Brennan IT when you're the founder? Did you change your name or something?
Well, it didn't quite work out that way. I was so young when I started. I wanted people to think there was a bloke back in the office called Mr. Brennan that was running the show.
That was your thinking. You're a clever
You've got to think through all these things.
Without a doubt. Very, very innovative. Now, Dave, tell us about Brennan IT.
Well, we're a managed services provider, so we look after the mid-market. We build and manage their networks for them, PC servers. We're one of the biggest cloud providers in the market. Quite a significant telco as well.
Okay. So when you say managed services, give us an example of maybe a medium-sized business who would use you and what you do for them.
So let's say a 200-seat stockbroking firm, for example. They don't want to have the burden internally of running all their PCs, the servers, all the compliance work, backups, all that sort of thing. So we walk in, we outsource, we manage all the PCs, we put the network together, we run it for them. We let them focus on
you
doing
take away
their
the too
job.
hard basket.
That's right.
Okay.
That's our basket.
Okay. So tell us about this new... We're running out of space. How do you run out of space?
Well, you know, 30 or 40 years ago when the internet kind of was born in those NASA labs and digital equipment and whatnot, they came up with an addressing scheme that gave millions of addresses, and no one really ever thought that it would boom as much as it did. And
so there's millions and we needed billions.
Well, basically, yeah. So we're 40 years down the track, and at the global level, we've run out of addresses. They're all assigned in blocks to regional levels, and Australia's is called APNIC. So they've been given their last block of IP addresses.
So you're saying that Switzer.com.au, which is a website, is actually in Geekland, where you come from, is actually in numbers.
It is, yeah. So it converts to 4 numbers. You've probably heard them, 10.0.0.3, for example.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
That's in your land, mate.
Cool, there you go. So we've run out of those numbers. And the issue is that, you know, on normal usage, we might have a year's worth of them left. But the world's finding out slowly but surely that we're running out, and we're getting a bit of a hockey stick in take-up of version 4 addresses.
Particularly when China and India and all those sort of places, they're going mad with this stuff.
And even in Australia, because we've got our own kind of segregated blocks, and we're burning through them. And just the rules of supply and demand mean that, you know, prices are going to rise on these things, and they're going to run out sooner than we thought.
You guys charge us more money, like.
There's every opportunity there, I think, to take advantage of that.
The only reason is that we don't know what you're doing, and we're just sort of stuck with the price you hit us with.
So you've got to find someone you trust and ask their advice about the whole thing.
That still doesn't mean they won't overcharge you if you trust them. All right, Dave. So the question for me then is, how come the new system isn't going to sort of get along with the old system? That seems crazy.
Yeah, so it's like the 3G and the old GSM networks, but in this case, we're going to run with the old version 4 addresses for years.
Okay.
So they'll eventually get turned off. But if you got a version 4...
By the way, when you said the GSM, you mean like the analogue...
The analogue mobile network.
Yeah, okay. So when that was
it.
And I guess we're seeing it in TV land, aren't they? With the poor old pensioners being forced to... Or being given boxes by the government.
Set-top boxes.
Set-top boxes, okay. So there's going to be a transition period. And how long will that transition period be?
They haven't said it in stone, but it's likely to be many, many years.
Right.
But here's the issue, though. If you're an originator of content, if you've got a Switzer.com.au
exactly.
website...
That's what we do. We do content.
Or you've got a mail server, or you've got some sort of remote access for your staff to get into your office, then if they're coming in from a version 6 address, if they're overseas and they've been given a version 6 address and you haven't upgraded, they won't be able to get access to you.
So version 6 is going to be the new world, is it?
It is.
Okay, and what's the old world?
Version 4.
4.
I don't know what happened to version 5.
Yeah, version 5 just...
It kind of, you know what techos are like.
Yeah, they're weird. All right, but we like them, but they're weird. All right, so... And so, therefore, a business that has travelling people operating, say you're in Milan,
Yeah.
and that internet world over there is version 6,
Yep.
and you're back here on version 4.
They can't get access to you.
Okay.
And that holds true for your your remote access, but also your website too. If you haven't upgraded that, then people can't get access to you.
surf into you.
That's right. They basically get a site not found in their browser, which is nothing. You don't want that.
Okay. Now, I'm sure there are some really wise viewers out there, because I've got lots of them saying, this sounds like, Y2K all over again.
Does a bit, doesn't
those
it?
geeky guys are saying, "Ooh, there's going to be a big problem. come New Year's Eve, we're all going to be baked to death." Tell us that that's not the case.
No, it's not the case. So the vendors, for the most part, Microsoft kind of leading the charge.
Yeah.
Or
They
most,
need to help their share price, mate.
They could, yeah. We can help them with the version 6 stuff. I don't know about the share price. But the code's inside their operating system. So you need to talk to your IT provider and get those upgraded, and then get IP version 6 addresses assigned to you and loaded up on the operating systems, on the servers, and on the routers and the firewalls and all the links in the chain that get you to the internet.
Okay. So when is going to be the critical time for a business to make sure it's been done?
Look, it can happen any time from today, and it just the groundswell grows. So in a year's time, there's going to be more IP version 6 only users out there, and they just won't be able to see you.
So within what period of time could some customers not get through to you?
And it could happen. It could happen today in certain circumstances, but it's much more likely to happen a year, 18 months, that sort of time frame. And in that sort of time frame, there could be significant numbers of users not able to get access to you.
The cost of version 6, is it going to be per machine, or is it going to be per whatever it is you buy for the 20 or 30 machines or 100 machines you've got?
So the cost is generally, there's no cost attached to that version 6 address. There's just going to be a bit of project costs in upgrading that operating system, that firewall, and there's a bit of services in there. There's always the option too, if you don't want to go through that upgrade, every time you go through any sort of an upgrade or investment, you can look at the cloud. You can move those services up into the cloud, and those cloud providers...
they do it for you.
They should all be version 6
So
compliant.
therefore, people who've already opted to get in the cloud, there's no issue for them, because the cloud people are version 6 people.
They should be. They just need to check with their cloud providers, but if they're any sort of a professional outfit, they'll have done that already.
Okay. Will it be, you know how you're sitting a machine, all of a sudden some pesky Adobe thing comes through and they tell you you're going to need an upgrade, or Mozilla, Fox, or whoever. Is it going to be the same sort of things like, click on this and they'll upgrade you, and that's all you have to do?
So what will happen is, no, it's a little bit more involved than that. You're going to have to talk to the people that run your network at work. But what will happen is you'll go to websites and you'll literally just get a site not found, but you know that site's available. There's a good test site, actually. It's called ipv6.google.com.
Okay, so say it slowly, because some people actually writing it down.
So ipv6, all one word, .google.com, right? So if you surf to that in your browser and you can see it, then you've got a version 6 address. If you can't see it, then you don't.
Okay, very good. If you're running a small business, I guess you're suggesting that's what you should be doing tomorrow morning.
I'd be starting to ask the question, It's not so kind of urgent that you have to do it by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, but you want to start that process.
And if it's not there, your next step is to go and the person who looks after your managed services.
Yep, that's right.
I'm getting language right.
You are indeed.
Okay.
We've got a job for you over there.
Okay, I'm kind of a bit busy at the moment. But the next thing is, what kind of expense are you? I know. Don't give me how long is a piece of string, but But try to imagine you've got a small business, 10 people, 10 workstations. What would you imagine the approximate cost would be?
I think you'd be looking at a few $1,000, $2,000 or $3,000 to go through the upgrade. And then you've got to take precautions, back up the data, make sure you've got a position to roll back to if it doesn't work, all that sort of thing. And the only other thing you've got to do is talk to your internet service provider and make sure they're version 6 compatible as well. Now, the two biggest ones in the country, the two big telcos, aren't yet, but they're getting their way there.
Okay, well, I guess the next question is, what about the householders, the people at home with their Dell computers or their Apples?
Yeah.
Are they going to be having to upgrade their machines as well?
Probably not. They've probably got later versions of operating systems. They've bought a PC in the last 2 or 3 years. They're going to have the right software on there.
Yeah.
And when that ISP does the upgrade that they need to, that'll all flow down to the user and they should be pretty fine.
Okay, so the people who might have a trouble might be someone who's using a 5-year-old machine.
Yeah, that's right. So there's plenty of small medium businesses still running older versions of Windows and NT and products like that. And there is a problem. They will need to go through an upgrade path.
Okay. Is there anything else is there any question I haven't asked you that you think there's an issue that you'd like to share with the audience before I say hasta la vista, baby?
I think you've covered the core points. I think it's about looking at what needs to happen in your environment, assessing whether you want to go the cloud option or keep those services local.
When you say the cloud option, I know what you mean, but give us an example of someone who's not in the cloud and who could opt to go in the cloud. What does it mean? What does he give up? And what does he actually benefit from being in the cloud?
So there's lots of things that you benefit. So your data's much more protected. You've got much more resilient system that's not going to fail on you, etc.
Yeah.
And what you might do is choose just to move some of the components of your business, like your website, your web mail that your users use when they're out on the road, and some of the other components up into the cloud. So you might keep that server and just move components there. It's a definite
And once
option.
you're in the cloud, it's like people are doing all the work for you, and then like version 6, they'll be done, so you don't have to worry about it.
And as soon as you get your first pieces in the cloud, lots follow.
So I reckon some people who haven't given a toss about the cloud, because this version 6 thing, could actually look at the cloud and think, well, maybe it's time for us to...
Every time there's an
cloud.
investment decision, I think a percentage of people are going to go that cloud option.
Right, mate, of course, there are going to be some geeky experts out there saying, there's a lot of crap there, and they want to come on the program and say you're wrong, but it's been a great pleasure having the program, and thanks for explaining it.
Thanks, Per.
Coming up, we'll be joined by Nabi Saleh, the Executive Chairman of Gloria